Hi, welcome to my channel.
Hey guys, we're back. What we're going to do now is we're going to kind of do a follow-on to our coloring markers on tracing paper demo, where the earlier demo was just kind of showing how we applied the markers on the back side and the top side, doing just a really simple convex and concave shapes. What we're going to do now is we're going to kind of transition to something a little larger, maybe blending a few of those elements together, and then applying the same marker technique. So what I have here is I've gone ahead and sketched up kind of where we're going to head today. Again, you can see there's very simple, more relaxed forms, but every now and then there'll be a little blip, a little surprise, a little more of a gentle crowning of the surfaces, and even surfaces that have little features. And how do we go about applying markers in those conditions? We're going to do that now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull off the sheet. And because of this, for the sake of efficiency, I've gone ahead and prepared a line drawing, okay, so we don't have to kind of go through that again. And one of the things I also want to recommend is that when you're using a lot of tracing paper and you're performing this technique, there's a tendency to have a lot of marker bleed because you're working in such a way where you're actually kind of, not allowing the marker value to always dry. So I recommend always using and keeping a blotter sheet. Okay, a blotter sheet is essentially another sheet of tracing paper that will just absorb your excess ink, and it's going to be something you can use over and over again. I mean, there's no reason to have to waste a brand new sheet of paper. Okay, and again, this technique totally relies on using a pad of paper. I really recommend always using a pad of tracing, okay, or just stacks of white bond paper. So let's go. What I'm going to do here, again, I've got my line drawing, I've got my blotter pad behind it. Every now and then I'll pull it away so we can take a clean look. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use my basic stablemates here, my cerulean blue and pastel blue. They seem to work well together. And then, as you can see on my demo sheet earlier, I've been putting in a lot of this reflected earth tone. I think that's kind of a nice thing to kind of warm up a sketch. All right, and then we'll finish off with some Sharpie line weight to kind of tidy everything up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So same thing. We'll go ahead and take our drawing and we'll flip it over. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of see the values. Okay, so and then we'll zoom out when we need to look at everything. All right, let's cork out the broad nib, and again, we're going to take a look at the contour lines. Okay, now on most design sketches, it's always good to kind of have a few contour lines to kind of map your surface, so you have some idea of the convergence of value and then how value kind of flows out from there. So, and also noticing the breaks in the surfaces. Okay, when surfaces start to bend and fold down, because what happens is it does change the condition of the light, where you're going in obscurity down in this area where it's a little bit darker, and then when it faces down towards the ground tone, you're going to get an uptick of reflected ground light. All right, so let's just sketch. Stop talking. All right, so I'm going to come in and notice the contour line here says that this surface tucks in. You see how it tucks in and how I'm kind of blending and allowing that to flow around there. Okay, and you see how it just comes around. All right, so we've got to do that. And then we also notice that when we look over to the side here, this is our number 3 side, so that's going to be nice and solid. All right, and also when you look at this this surface here, this is a number 1, but look what it's doing. It's kind of gradually dropping down like a slope. So what's happening is it's kind of going from a number 1 to a number 3. So you can easily define that as like a number 2 or a 1.5, right? So let's go ahead and give a little bit of a shout out to that. So put a little bit of value there, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. Now I went ahead and created a little bit of a gradient to remind me that, hey, I got to come back in here with the light blue marker. And then this area right in here along this edge is going to be kind of creating a shadow of its own, because light source is coming across here, and because of this transition that you see up here in the corner, you see how it kind of steps down and across? That means that there's going to be some sort of a ledge happening in there. Okay? All right. So I think we've got enough marker on there. I'll probably put a little marker here. That's in the dark side, so I can take care of that. All right. So we'll cork the main blue marker, the cerulean blue, and we'll uncork the power blue marker. And remember how we did the sky tone, guys? We went from the top surface, broad nib again. I highly recommend you guys get comfortable using broad nib, and then you work towards a gradient. Okay, now a lot of you are asking, well, where's that dark line, Dave? Why come you didn't have a dark line come across the top like you did on the other demos? And the reason is because that surface was much gentler. Okay, so there was an easier or a possibility of that surface kind of jumping over across that surface, but not here because there's a sharp break. So when you have that sharp break, you're not going to get that that bit of value that's going to come across the top. That's treated as a totally separate deal. So it's totally cool just to kind of leave it like that. All right. But what we do down here is the same thing like we did on the other sketch. Come in with your light blue, blend in with the reflection, and bring that gradient straight down. But avoid coming into this area, right? This area is receiving light. So what's happening is that you're going to get a bit of reflected sky tone. All right. So I put a little bit of blue here, and I let it go right to white. So I make sure that I have a reverse of that. All right. Then I come down in this area because this is ground tone, right? This is reflected some ground tone. So I'm going to come up here and pick up a little bit of that dark blue and come in here and create a gradient going from dark to light. All right. All right. Yeah. Let's not forget about the top surface. Remember we talked about blending this in, right? So you blend a little bit of that. You get a little slurry going, and then you go and you just go to white, just like that. All right. Now, when that surface dips down, it's going to be exposing itself more to white. But as it creeps up again, guess what? You're going to get a little bit of a gradient right back in here. You have to have this dark medium to light to medium to light again because you've got an undulating surface. All right. And you have to be able to communicate that properly on your sketch. All right. Now, as I said before, you take this blotter sheet and well, let me pull down a little bit, and you want to go ahead and do a scrub, and the scrub will clean your marker. Right? So to end this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take some oatmeal or some honeycomb marker, which is the earth tone, and we're going to come across, and you always want to first apply the ground tone onto the ground first. You got to know where you're going, right? And I never do the whole length of it because there's no real reason to do that. My mind's eye will capture this and be able to fill the picture in my mind. Okay, so once you have about half of it, or maybe 2/3 if you'd like, into the ground, let's go ahead and do a 90-degree mirror reflection back into that surface. Right, you see, I went in and stroked right in there, and I'm going to stroke another one here because I've got a little bit of a tail. Bit of earth tone down in here, and we'll go ahead and proceed and just fill that. Okay, and you want to fill that confidently. Don't be like stabbing at it and scrubbing it. It is a reflection. It's going to go right in there. So feel free just to flood that with color. All right, and walk away from it. Okay, so come down, scrub your marker out. Okay, I'm going to pull the paper down again. I'm going to scrub my oatmeal marker or honeycomb marker. And then once I'm happy with all the distribution of values, I'll go ahead and flip it over. And always remember your main color. Okay, you always have to do the main color. Come back over, use a broad nib. All right, let me go ahead and pull this picture a little into the plane. And you want to come back in and strengthen that value. Look at that reflection. Okay, isn't that nice? And then you want to come in here and you want to strengthen this plane. Okay. And you just a little bit going upward. And I would say broad stroke is the best way to go. And there you have it. All right. Now, the finishing touch on this drawing, again, pardon me for flipping my canvas upside down, is come back over here with your Sharpie pen. Give yourself a little bit of line weight at the bottom of your drawing. And then when you come across the top surface, which is the far edge, you want to flip that pen around and go to your ultrafine point. Okay. And you want to strengthen that line. All right. That's all you have to do. All right. Now I'm going to pull away the blotter sheet so you get a nice clean look. at that drawing. All right, let's go ahead and zoom a little bit in. Get a little bit of a closer look at that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, do you guys kind of see how this can be translated into forms for your trailer and your tow vehicle? Now, in my next video, I'm going to go ahead and tackle more complex form combinations, and you'll start to see right away how that's going to basically transition from this drawing to your final rendering. All right, so stay tuned for my next video. Thanks for watching.